Hello everyone watching on TTG's Facebook page. Good morning, it's Senior Reporter Tom Parry here, and welcome to the latest in our face-to-face series where we speak to industry leaders about how their brands are dealing with the many challenges of the coronavirus crisis. This morning I'm lucky to be joined, it's a bit of a face-to-faces this morning. We've got a panel of some cruise line sales heads joining me today to talk about how, despite the fact that no ships are sort of sailing at the moment and industries paused, how agents can still keep their sales buoyant and afloat and plan for the future, really. So hoping for a nice sort of practical, positive session this morning. I'd like to introduce my panelists. We've got Wendy Larmick from Seabourn and Hal, UK and Ireland Sales Director. Wendy, how you doing?
Hi, I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
No problem at all. We've got, just below me here, we've got Ian Powell, Head of Trade Sales from Saga. Ian, how's it going?
Yeah, good, thank you.
Fantastic. And also, just to my, I'm not sure what I'm showing here, just there, we've got Nicola McLeish, UK and Ireland, Head of Sales for Celebrity Cruises. How are you doing, Nicola?
Hi, Tom. Yeah, hi, everyone. Good, thank you.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you all for joining me. I just wanted to sort of start off nice and casually, really, to say, sort of, how is everyone getting on? Obviously, it's been, really difficult logistically and sort of, personally, in many ways, really. Wendy, how are you and the team at Holland America and Seabourn getting on since sort of lockdown has taken hold?
Yeah, well, it's certainly different. We're all working from home. We were set up pretty much straight away. Obviously, being a sales team, most people were set up anyway to work from home. But we've also then, passed that down to our reservations and administration teams as well. So yeah, it's a very new way of working. Obviously, doing it day in, day out. It's very different. Carnival UK has been fantastic with supporting, IT support and efficiencies and what was needed, and also personal support, because, to anyone, certainly in our res teams who was new to working from home, that's really, really important. And I think, that's been a bit of a prime focus, really, has been the well-being of our teams and working with our travel partners on Zoom and doing all of this from home. And it's odd, but it's doable. Different, but doable. But, and there's some fun times. We were talking earlier, you can do some fun things as well. So I think it's important to be able to, do business as usual as it can be, but also keep everybody's spirits up and keep that face-to-face contact.
Yeah, I think that's what it's about, isn't it? Have you found the same, Nicola? It's a case of sort of staying in contact and trying to keep upbeat about things.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's hard to believe it was 7 or 8 weeks ago now that all this really started to take effect, really, and that it was about then when we made that difficult decision to suspend our sailings. So, as Wendy says, since then we've moved our teams to home working. So our big focus has been communication, really, and making sure that we're just connecting as a team, but also with our trade partners as well, and keeping that contact going.
And Ian, what about you and the team? How are you getting on?
Yeah. I guess much the same. All working from home. As Wendy says, it's for some it's been more of a change than others. For the regional guys, for example, who are used to being either at home or out and about, it's probably not made massive difference for them, actually. But for some of us who are used to office work, it's a big change. I guess it's probably my takeaway is, I think, a couple of things. One is that, as you say, we're concentrating probably more now on well-being than we ever have done, as both ladies have said. I think that that's become probably more important than ever before in terms of keeping up that connection with team. Not just those who are working, but those who are furloughed as well. We've got some of my team and some of the other teams around the business who are on furlough at the moment, and trying to make sure that, I guess, that we're keeping them involved in the business. And then really, I think it's probably proved that we can work remotely better than we thought we could. The technology that we're using is very good. We're Teams, things like that, Microsoft Teams. And so there's some great technology to make it possible. And probably at the end of this, most businesses will probably work a little bit differently to how they did when we went into it. And being in an office might not be as important as it once was.
And Ian, how are you finding sort of keeping in contact with agents, really? I know we said about the logistics of it, basically stuff like doing this, obviously making sure they're supported at probably the most difficult time during the cruise industry's history, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been it's difficult. It's difficult for everybody because in agencies as well, there's staff on furlough as well, and there's some agents that have had to reduce down quite significantly. I think the key bit again has been communication, making sure that we're we're keeping in touch with them and keeping in the loop with what we're doing. I don't envy a travel agent scenario where they're trying to keep up with countless, let's say, 15, 20 different cruise lines. For other agents, probably more like a couple of hundred suppliers if they're working with, other types of holiday as well. Really tough for them to keep on top of what we're all doing, because we don't do the same and we don't suspend for the same periods. And so I think it's a recognition really from us and the team that it's tough for them. And we've been focusing really on trying to make sure they're in the loop with what we're doing. We make it as simple as we can do. And are probably focusing more at the moment on supporting them with amendments rather than sort of the typical stuff where we talk about new bookings. Right now, most of our efforts in terms of sales have been talking around how do we get customers who are booked on a suspended cruise or holiday to move across to sort of another departure date. That's key for us. It's key for the travel agents. So we've been working with them, with our partners quite closely on that sort of stuff. And
Nicola, is it the same for you really? It's like Ian said, it's more about support than necessarily new sales. And is your team intact at the moment? Has anyone been furloughed? Or are you guys still together? Or what's the situation?
Yeah, it is similar. I mean, I think our trade partners will always be at the absolute heart of everything that we're doing. So as I've mentioned, communication is key for us. So we very much, as Ian says, we're trying to recognise that the pressure that a lot of our trade partners are facing at the moment. So a few of the things that we've done is really try to pull everything into the easiest format that we can. So we've just launched across our 4 brands, so across Celebrity, Royal, Azamara and Silversea, RCL Cares. And that's really trying to support our agents in pulling everything into one place. So they've got everything from our current policies through to links to the government and app to websites through to different questions and answers. So we've really tried to pull everything into one place, recognising all the different messages and how frequently things are changing at the moment into one place. So that's been the kind of key priority for us.
And Wendy, how about you guys over on obviously the Holland, Seabourn and Carnival side? Have you got sort of similar resources pulled together like that? Sort of how are you helping?
Yes, I mean, we're a small team, as you know, across the 2 brands in sales. But the business development team are, they've been constantly in contact from the challenging start that we had to this situation with a few of the HAL ships, still sailing. And we've kept it in contact with as many agents as we can, and we're supporting them every day. And right at the beginning it was day and night, through all the different scenarios presented to them. And like Ian said, the amount that they as travel agents have to go through with all of the different policies and procedures, etc., is just phenomenal. And I think sometimes some of the team are just calling them just to say hi and to say that we're here, and even if we only chat about EastEnders, then so be it. But I think the situation is very much about keeping relationships positive, helping the trade partners understand certainly our policies and how we are reacting to everything, and ensuring their well-being as well, and that of our mutual guests as much as anything else right now, which is in these uncertain times. And I think that kind of message, as well as the practical side of it, is, I think, reassurance that we will come out of this from us to them is really important. And luckily we've had some really positive feedback from the industry on how we've been and continue to communicate and deal with all the challenges, like I think a lot of the teams and a lot of the cruise lines have. And it works both ways. We're part of a phenomenally close industry, and our partners have been equally supportive to us in working to, ultimately provide the best care and attention to the guests.
That's such a nice thing to say, because obviously at the moment it is more about support, isn't it? And just sort of checking in.
Yeah.
I suppose, especially in your sort of fields, guys, I suppose sales is it's a relationship based, isn't it? And it's so face to face, and it must be difficult to sort of have it through a screen almost, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and it like we were talking before, it's different, but it's doable, and it's just the adjustment. And I think as an industry, it's just been phenomenal. You go onto Facebook and you read what you're producing, and the feedback from the travel agent community and how we're all dealing with this new normal. It's it's heartwarming, I think. And you know, similar to Ian, you know, we've also got to make sure that we're caring for the people that in both sides that are on furlough as well, and you know, making sure that we are all working really hard to make the industry, you know, stronger for any return.
And so where, if you can sort of, anyone watching who perhaps might not know, or just to sort of update people, Ian, would you be able to sort of, if we go around the room, the virtual room, as to where everybody is at the moment in terms of operation suspensions, and then sort of any chance to get back onto that, and then what sort of amendments that you've put in place for customers?
Yeah, sure. So as of now, we have suspended operations up till the 1st of July. That covers all of the Saga operations. So that's river cruise, ocean cruise, and all of our land holidays as well. We have various, well, I guess for ocean cruise, the bit that we're primarily focusing on, we are offering future cruise credit for guests who amend, which is 115% of the value of the cruise. We're also allowing guests to amend to multiple cruises if they want to. So for example, if they have a higher value cruise booked and they want to move that value across to 2 future bookings, 3, whatever that may be, we're allowing that as well. And we're focusing on trying to get product future cruises on sale as early as we can, because we know that when guests want to amend, they might be looking, you know, we're very lucky at Saga that a lot of our guests are exceptionally loyal. So when we talk to them about amending, we understand they may already have a booking for next year. It's quite likely they will. Some of them will have multiple bookings. So we're trying to get cruises on sale as early as we can, so they have more to choose from. And if a cruise isn't there at that point in time they want to move to, we'll hold that booking for them basically, and wait for a time where there is a cruise that they want to then amend to, still offering them the same benefits, obviously. On our land holidays, we have monetary value amounts that are credited as so not like a percentage like we do in cruise. We have a £100 or £200 credit depending on the type of holiday they have. So I guess really our focus is around offering guests a reason to amend and a reason to stick with us. And we're very pleased. You know, we've recently sort of talked externally about the number of amendments that we're getting. Ocean cruise, over 60% of guests now are amending with us, so keeping their booking or agreeing to take a refund credit note with a view to amending. So we're really pleased at the retention levels that we're getting, and we know they're exceptionally high. And that shows, I guess, both the loyalty the Saga guest has, and also the fact that we're hopefully doing right by them in terms of the offers that we're giving, and obviously the communication to the guests, which has been our #1 priority, to make sure our guests know what we're doing and why we're doing it. So yeah, I think hopefully that summarises our position.
No, that's great. And then Nicola, what sort of celebrities policy to people who might not know? And I think I spoke to Joe yesterday, and she said it was around sort of 50% in terms of people taking on the cruise credit so far. Is that right?
It is, yeah. So, I mean, it goes without saying that the health and safety of our, not only guests, but our crew is our #1 priority. So we've currently suspended sailings until the 11th of June. So if a customer specifically wants a full refund, then of course we'll honour that. But we are offering the richer offer of 125% future cruise credit, trying to encourage guests to rebook on a future cruise. So they can either do that now, or they can hold on to that future cruise certificate until they've got a cruise that they want to sail on. And we've seen a really great uptake, actually. I know our trade partner's been brilliant in supporting us on that, and a great uptake, as you and Joe said yesterday. We're seeing just over half of those. Still early days, I have to say, but over half of people are opting for that future cruise certificate. So that's for the suspended sailings. And then the other thing, really trying to give customers flexibility. So we've got our Cruise with Confidence program. So if a customer wants that flexibility and they want to postpone their holiday, they can do so right through 2021 and take that future cruise certificate to sail at a later date.
That's great. And Wendy, what about you guys at Holland Seabourn? Is it obviously slightly 2 different brands there? There's slightly different ways of working?
No, it's very, very similar. I think we're kind of all offering similar things, but so Holland America Line is offering 125% for retail bookings on future cruise credit, and we are also offering $250 per person onboard credit, and that includes 3rd and 4th as well. So you know, a bit of a more of an incentive, hopefully, to try and get people to book ahead. But obviously, if people do choose to take a refund, then we are offering the refund. And for Seabourn, it's 125% future cruise credit as well. And these are valid for a year after the future cruise credit is built, and they can sail up until the end of 22. So we've kind of just extended that option of choice. And I think, like the other guys have said, you know, we're all working hard to, you know, try and you know, put across it's almost going back a little bit to, you know, what cruising is all about and how amazing these experiences are, so that we can encourage, you know, future cruise credits. And I think it's from our brand's point of view, we've got such varied itineraries into 21 and 22, and we offer quite a lot of bucket list holidays, and one would hope that, you know, this kind of experience will eventually make people want to do that kind of holiday more than ever, probably, having been, you know, locked up at home, which I think at the beginning sounded quite nice, with it being January and February. And now I was beginning to think, actually, we'd quite like to think about something more to look forward to. And I think in terms of destinations, you know, that are showing some demand, and which is due to the FCC take up, which is really good news. And it sounds like certainly the other guys have got that as well, which is great, is, you know, very much kind of Alaska is one for sure that's, you know, obviously it's very strong for Holland America Line, and that's something that's showing through. And also Europe with Seabourn, and Canada, New England and places like that. So it's going in the right direction. But again, like Nick says, you know, we're all looking at the prime focus being health and safety, to get all of that right first, and then, you know, what itineraries end up operating, etc., will be what will be when we know. But at the moment, it's really key to, you know, try and get guests to just re-engage with the experiences that they've had before for past guests, and any new guests to know, you know, and try and understand what an amazing experience it can be.
No, it's great to hear how well, you know, Alaska's doing. I can see is it McKinley Moose? I see him in the background.
Oh yes, of course. Yeah.
Bit of product placement.
What's the chances of that being there, Wendy?
I know.
Do you know what? I know. I'll just dust off nothing. He's there all the time.
Yeah, and Ian, what other sort of destinations are you seeing in for Saga, and when about? Is it sort of for later this year? Is it early 21? Are you seeing any demand for sort of for 2020 as it stands? Is it quite a tough sell? Or?
Yeah, I think for anybody 2020 tough, I think, is a reality. We have had a few passengers book for or rebook, should I say, you know, amend to November, December. In fact, we also had a couple of guests who wanted to amend from May to July, so they were particularly confident in their ability to travel. But I think that there's a few out there who are desperate and chomping at the bit to get back to their holidays. But the reality is this year's tough. But the amendment rate, as I say, for next year is great. Majority of it is into 2021 and beyond. I think that's the reality probably for most. Destination wise, it's quite a broad mix actually. We're not seeing well, there's certainly not any destination that's dropped off a cliff, or that people don't want to travel to, or that's showing that they don't want to go to. Even destinations that have been quite widely publicised, shall we say, in the media around suffering with, you know, quite badly with coronavirus. You know, there's not been a noticeable drop off in those places. I think there's an understanding from our customer base that this will improve and things will get better, and they will be able to travel to the places they wanted to. We've some itineraries that are very, very popular. So we have a Greenland cruise, for example, that was sold out for this year. And is now almost sold out for next year, because a lot of the guests, of course, want to move across to the same cruise the following year. So we've noticed a few pockets like that where there are itineraries that are proving incredibly popular, and then I guess that gives us the want to try and do more of that in the future and try and introduce more of those cruises. There's a real interest, which there always has been, in British Isles cruising. That's not new, but has probably ramped up a little bit since coronavirus. And again, that's probably not
closer to home.
Yeah, it's probably not a major surprise. You know, I guess we're lucky. I think that we're lucky. We're benefiting by our deployment in the sense that we're all ex-UK. The fact that you don't have to fly to get on one of our ships is probably right now proving a positive, because I think there's a general concern around what's airports and airline travel going to look like in the future. So we're benefiting from that. And there is, as I say, a real interest in British coastal cruising, visiting some smaller, lesser known ports. And maybe at the moment that is because the customer base are seeing that as a little bit safer, a little bit closer to home, something they're a little more comfortable with. We've always done those types of cruises and they've always been popular, but there is a noticeable increase in demand for that. But like I say, the real positive to take away is there's not any destination that we're going, wow, this is a real issue now, people don't want to go to that. There's no evidence of that across the board, which is great, because that means that people aren't being affected, shall we say, by what they're seeing on the news and things like that, or not too heavily, and they still want to go on holiday. That's the main thing.
Yeah, no, that's really great to hear. Nicola, are you seeing as Ian said, a greater demand for XUK, or are people still going long haul, and where are they going and when are they going, I suppose?
Yeah, we are actually. I mean, I think it's really encouraging to see how things are going at the moment, actually, in terms of we're getting some real green shoot products, such as Wendy says, Alaska's going really well for us, Caribbean, particularly for the first quarter of 2021. And then definitely XUK, there's a real demand there for the fjords, Scandinavia, Russia sailings for summer 2021 as well. So yeah, we're seeing some really positive signs, and I think we're just on the brink of launching tomorrow. Actually, we're launching our Dream Big sale, so we're going to be offering 3 perks for the price of 2, which starts tomorrow. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes, but yeah, it's encouraging.
No, that's great stuff. I was just wanting to ask, are you guys seeing any new to cruise guests, or is it predominantly people that have cruised before? And do you think is a little bit, I know Ian said that he thinks perhaps customers aren't too influenced by what they're seeing on the TV and the news in terms of cruising, but is it predominantly tried and tested cruisers, or is there some new to cruising there as well? Wendy, what have you seen?
I think if we're honest at the moment, what we can say, I think that's the other thing at the moment, with so much other things going on in terms of the refunds and the FCCs, deciphering the two at the moment is a little bit difficult right now. I think further down the line, certainly if we did this again in the autumn, we'd probably have a much clearer view. But I think right now, yes, the majority is rebookings, but I still think that's, as important in terms of how we're looking at the interest and creating that demand, and I think as ever, those people have friends and who maybe haven't cruised, and that shows strength of character of those guests that are willing to come back under all of this, this reporting through the media that Cruises had. And I think, despite that, we've got some really similar to both guys. We've all got really loyal guests, which are really, really important, and that they almost become your ambassadors to be able to get the message out to anybody else, really, who are thinking of new to cruise. So, I mean, yes, week on week, day on day on the figures, you can see that there are glimmers of hope in terms of what people are looking at. And I think also your web inquiries and that of your agent partners, when we're having calls with our agent partners, and they're letting us know what parts of their websites are being looked at in terms of our brands, both brands. It's, it is encouraging, and I think, everybody's doing just such an amazing job in such difficult times to still think about getting those really positive messages across. And and obviously Clear, we're all working with Clear, we'll all work hard with Clear to get that message across. So, I can't give you any definitive figures right now, but I think it's positive, and I think that's what's really, really important.
No, that's great to hear. And I was thinking, Nicola, do you think perhaps lines might have to change how they market themselves and how they sort of or promote themselves now? I think Ian alluded to it earlier about having that message around sort of a bit of safety and health and safety stuff. Do you think that might become more prevalent perhaps, or do you think that things might have to change to sort of bring more people back once to sort of re-energize the market once cruising begins again? Oh, I think Nicola might have just frozen there, I think, a little bit. Hopefully she comes back. But Ian, would you like to take that?
Yeah, fine.
Might have to promote themselves differently.
Yeah, no. So I think there's a couple of things. I think on the I mentioned I don't think the guests are, or some guests aren't too heavily affected, but I think those repeat guests, those loyal ones, they're the ones who are desperate to get back on a cruise ship, whether it be with Saga, whether they be loyal to Holland America, Celebrity, whoever it may be. They are desperate to. So with those guys, I think we have to give them some reassurance, and we have to talk to them about the things that we're doing on board to make sure that they know they're still going to get the experience they expect from Saga, and they're going to get it in a safe way. And then I think the change of approach is going to have to be around those newcomers. They're the ones who undoubtedly probably will take a bit more convincing now. And I think we know in the cruise industry, if we're honest, we know that we have a job to do to encourage new people to join cruise ships, and we know that we have a job to do to make more people come and take a cruise holiday as opposed to a land holiday. And there has been some negative publicity around cruise. I think cruise has been given an unfairly sort of rough deal actually out of it when you consider how health and safety has been at the forefront of what we've been doing for a very long time. So I think we've probably a job to do there. That will probably be around, maybe it will be a change in approach to marketing a little bit, talking a bit more about why we are one of the safer forms of travel, why we are excellent value for money, some of the traditional stuff, but probably bring into the forefront how we put health, safety, sanitisation, etc. at the forefront of what we do. Bit of a weird one, admittedly, because a year ago we had said we were going to potentially talk about ourselves in a marketing piece around things like, sanitisation outside of every food venue and things like that. That would have been laughable a year ago to think that might form part of a marketing campaign. But actually, going forward, for the near future at least, that's probably going to be really important to both existing and new guests, which is it'll be a fun job for the marketing teams to try and put that into a positive message.
Yeah, it's definitely going to take a different spin, isn't it? Do you agree on that one? Yeah, it sounds like that's sort of the way that things might go.
Is that me, or is Nicola?
Yeah, sorry, Wendy. Yeah.
Sorry.
Hopefully Nicola can rejoin us. Nicola, if you can hear us, if you rejoin, or do you agree with you?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think I think we need to focus on the positives of how the industry. I mean, certainly, like Ian says, we've been doing this for such a long time, anyway, as an industry, in terms of the health of our guests and the safety, and like he said, having hand sanitizers out. We've been doing that for decades, and it might be just that we need to go back a little bit and re-emphasize. And yes, and it will be interesting for the marketing teams, but I also think it's our boss Lynn has always gone on about using language in different ways of how to market cruising, and I think in general that language now will be a little bit different, certainly, but I think it can still be language that's used that moves away from the negatives and more focuses on the positives. And I think that's what we've always done in cruising. We've always had apprehensions to cruise for various different reasons that we work as the trade engagement committee with CLIA to try and overcome. This is some slightly different things that we need to overcome now, and some new items. However, language is really important, and I think agents and cruise lines and all of us need to just look at that and maybe introduce some more positive language in marketing. And it is about things like space per guest, and how some of the restaurants operate and what they can do in their shore experiences, and the port intensive itineraries that we offer, and just the vast choice that cruising does offer, which should satisfy some of these apprehensions that some of, maybe like Ian said, some existing guests, and some new guests are having. And I think we've all got the time now to maybe look at that closer than we probably have had in the past. And I think now's the time to do it. And we're all here, certainly our team are having those conversations, on behalf of Holland America and Seabourn right now with our agents, and coming up with ideas and trying to help them with some verbiage and some tools for their websites and for their teams. And I think, what CLIA have done as of yesterday, I think, launching their CLIA Cruise Champion site, that learning is going to help overcome some of the negativity. And hashtag we will return, hashtag stronger.
very, very much so. No, that was a great point about the language, I think, and sort of connecting the language with the actions there. Nicola, it's lovely to have you back. Thanks for
Sorry.
No problem at all.
Joys of technology.
Go and put the kettle on, Nick.
It's fantastic. We're glad you came back. Really, really good to have you back with us. I just wanted to ask, just to sort of fill in what we've been talking about in terms of the language. Perhaps is it a case of cruise lines working with with agents to get the right messages out there? I know that Ian and Wendy have spoken about how perhaps marketing might have to change slightly to be more sort of, I don't know, perhaps health and safety focused, or do you think that that's something that you might go forward to make sure agents have the right information to give to customers?
Absolutely, I do. I think both in terms of, I think when we return to work to the water, we're working hard on our return to service plans now, and I think we'll be looking at not only the sales and marketing messages of the campaigns and the consumer offer as we would do normally, but also how we can really give not only guests but trade partners the confidence as well about how stringent the health and safety protocols are, and I've already mentioned it, but health and safety of crew and guests is our absolute priority. So we want to be able to give trade partners the confidence to be able to talk to their guests, whether that's new to cruise or existing cruisers, confidently about it.
That's brilliant. I just wanted to say to anyone watching, if anyone's got any questions they'd like to put to the panel, feel free to comment in the box below, and we can try and get to them. I wanted to say, in terms of perhaps some practicalities to everyone, how now obviously ships aren't sailing right now, but how do agents best plan for the future and get themselves ready? Ian, perhaps what advice would you give to agents ready themselves to when operations start again?
Yeah, I guess it's fair to say that most agents at the moment probably are in the thick of operational challenges in the way that a lot of us are. So I think there's a recognition from us all that we've got to get past that first, admittedly, past the operational stuff, get guests amended over to new cruises. And then there might be it might transpire, depending on when we end up sailing, that there is a brief lull almost between operational stuff being relatively done and then a resumption of sailing. And I guess that we're using that time as an opportunity to review how we work, to basically reset and start again to an extent. And that's something that is a positive, I guess, that can come from this experience. That we always joke, I think all of us joke when we work, oh God, how great would it be if we could just stop things for a couple of months and sort this out and that out. Well, we've now got that. So maybe be careful what we wish for, but we've now got that opportunity to reset and to start fresh. So I think that's relevant both to us and anyone, any travel agent, anyone running a business, managing a team, whatever it might be, take the opportunity to look back and I guess reflect on the way that we've all been working, and is it the best way? Are there things we could be doing better? I think if there is a lull, then it's an opportunity to, we've all got great online training platforms, things like that, an opportunity to learn a bit more about the product that's out there, and I guess do the things that, again, when we're all busy with incoming sales, perhaps we don't get the time to do as much. Travel agents who are extremely busy won't always get the time to do online learning and things like that. This might provide that opportunity. And then probably relating to the point that we've just made around how we're going to have to talk to guests maybe slightly differently going forward, I think this period is now the time in which where we can prepare for that. So what information is going to be at the top of a customer's list? What's the stuff they're going to want to know about? That might be a bit different to what it has been historically. We've got to do our bit in terms of giving travel agents the information that we've all just talked about. The toolkits that talk to them about what are we doing on board in terms of health, safety, how we, if we are sailing during a time where coronavirus still exists and is still a considerable issue in the way it is now, how are we going to make that viable? We've got to provide them that information, and then I think the onus is then on the travel agent to take the opportunity to digest that and then find ways in which they can relay it to their customers, which obviously we're here to support with in terms of marketing. I think it's that, as I say, that opportunity to reflect and to reset. That's something that I don't think we probably ever get, and now or in the coming months might be the opportunity to do that.
And do you agree, Wendy, it's probably a time to take stock and to get the right tools and the right resources in place, and then go from there, I suppose?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, like pretty much echo everything that Ian has said, and do all the things that they've not had time to do before. We're all doing that. We're all taking stock of what this means. And I mean, our two brands, even in terms of doing this with the guests, we've launched a Hal at Home series and a Seabourn, Being Extraordinary Home, and it's kind of softly touch points, just re-engaging our guests and our trade partners as well, about the values of our brands and what we have to offer, and again just a soft approach to returning to business as usual. And I think these are things that have been really, really well received. And it's not a hard sell, like Ian says. We're not there yet. We're not at that point. We have still got a lot of admin to do, but rebooking and offering FCCs is part of that, and you still need to be able to get your messages across as to encourage people to have the confidence to take the FCC over a refund, for instance. And even the people that maybe taking refunds, that doesn't mean also that these people don't want to travel at all again. It's just that right at that time they would rather have their money back. So there's still opportunities for agents to kind of take stock and look at their websites and look at the video content that we all offer, in terms of, again, kind of using similar touch points from their businesses to their guests. I mean, YouTube's just phenomenal. We've got all of our Hull at Home series and Seabourn Bringing Extraordinary Home on our website, but also on YouTube. And who knew? This is where my age is going to come out, but you can, if you've got the YouTube app, you can put it onto your TV. Until I started Pilates, who knew? But, if you're like me, I've gone through most of Netflix series. So things like that, the ability to advise guests how to do that, or even for the agents to do that. If you've run out of Netflix, you can start watching cruise videos, and it's just reassuring, the guests and the agents that we're all here for them. And like Nick says, the communications, we're all learning, and we're going to be, we're increasing and improving our communications at all levels. But it's as well as the FCCs and everything that goes along with the operational changes, it's also about making sure that our agents are confident to engage with their guests positively about the messages that we're all putting across.
Yeah, do you think that's the case, Nick? It's more about sort of inspiration and reassurance than it is necessarily getting people to sign away on their next cruise? It's more of a case of just sort of cementing those relationships and inspiring people to think again for another day, I suppose. Oh, yeah, sorry.
Yes, that's for me. Yeah. I think it's important to say for us at the minute, it's very much about being there to support our trade partners in handling those rebookings and so on and so forth. So we've got lots of things like live chat in place, and we've got the call centre ready and waiting to take people's calls. We're also trying to kind of improve our technology even further. So we, in the next 24, 48 hours, we're just about to put live on our booking system Airwaves, a new function where you can redeem future cruise credits online. So I think at the moment, a lot of our time is going towards supporting agents and pulling it all into one place for them. That said, I think there are some agents out there that are continuing to talk to guests regularly and are starting to send out emails and that sort of thing, albeit slightly different content to what they would normally do. So I think where we're really trying to support is providing that kind of destination inspiration, and more and more so through social media, giving people the content and starting to drip feed in those deals to spark some interest and ideas for people that are looking to use their future cruise certificate or get their holiday booked up and ready to have something to look forward to for next year. So yeah, we're working hard on content and inspiration through social media. And then I think the other thing is similar to what Wendy and Ian have said, we've got Celebrity Passport, which is all focused on bite-sized learning. So recognising that people might not have long periods to spend doing training, but we've got short bite-sized modules which we continue to update and enhance, so that if agents do want to learn and keep up to their product knowledge up to date, then we've got something there for them.
That's fantastic. There's plenty of resources there, isn't there? I was wondering, Ian, so what are some of the biggest challenges that agents are coming to you and saying they're facing right now? I suppose there's probably a plethora of sort of hurdle after hurdle, isn't there? But it'd be interesting to know sort of what things they're facing on a daily or day-to-day basis. What are you hearing?
Yeah. Look, I think there's a lot, it's fair to say. Yeah, I mean, it's difficult for everybody. I guess the main challenges right now is probably clarity over what cruise lines operators, etc., are doing, because we don't all do the same, and we don't all announce suspensions at the same times and things like that. So clarity over that is difficult for them, and that's why I come back to the point of we've tried to make it as simple as we can, because I guess we don't want to add to the confusion. That's difficult. I think there's undoubtedly some customer challenges around Things like refunds is quite a contentious issue in the industry right now, it's fair to say. We're very, I guess, proud to be ensuring that if a guest asks for a monetary refund, they get that. We're not forcing refund credit notes, which is great, because we believe that's the right thing to do by the customer. And if they want their money back, they get the money back. I think they're probably the most two prevalent issues, I guess, that are going on. But we will come out of that. I think that operational stuff will last for a period of time, and then we'll come out of that. That will be dealt with. Hopefully, the majority of guests will be amended over, and then we move into more positive conversations around, how do we look forward, and how do we start getting those new bookings in, start talking to those new guests, etc. But they're probably the two most common conversations, I guess, not just with us, in the industry generally, I think, right now.
Yeah, I'm sort of seeing a lot of nodding in the group. Wendy, is that the case with you? Is it basically just sort of refund queries and and that kind of stuff at the moment?
Yeah, it is, and it's I think it's also it's the unknown as well. Obviously, we're all suspended right now, and it's the unknown of what may or may not happen, and when, and how it will look. And I think obviously none of us are aware of what that is right now, but it's like I said, it's about trying to remain as positive as we can be, and just to re-emphasize what we're doing, in terms of helping our agents. Like Nick said, we are very, very in that space at the moment in terms of refunds, etc., and helping with those inquiries. And we are putting everything that we have online, and again, learning every day. We've got Go How, and we will be working on the on Go Seabourn as well, which will be our two agent tool sites, and trying to improve those to help our agents as much as we can. And they are so important to get all the things that certainly we've all said. They are the absolute heart of what we do. And I just thank them for all their support in understanding what we're all going through as cruise lines as well. But, I just want to say that I just hope that they do understand how grateful we are to them, and understanding of what they are doing and what they are going through, and that we are here for them.
Yeah, no, that's great. Actually, I was going to ask everyone sort of send a message perhaps to the agents watching. And I suppose, Nicola, what was sort of your thought for the future, really? Is sort of a positive note to end on? How would you like to sort of address agents right now, to say that celebrities there for them? I imagine you're doing all you can.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, exactly what Wendy says, in terms of we know what a tough time the whole industry is facing at the moment, and we do really appreciate everyone's support as we work through the tough times. We don't have that crystal ball, unfortunately. We wish we did, but we know how challenging it is. But as I said earlier, I think there are definite green shoots. I'm sure there'll be no quick resolution for all of this, but we are working really hard on our return to service plans to make sure that we will come out of this even stronger than before. And so stick with us. I think we are absolutely there for anybody, whether, as I say, whether it's chatting to our call centre, talking to us online, or we've still got the sales team in place. So I would say just keep talking to us. We want to hear from you, and we'll be able to help with any questions that you may have.
That's great. And a similar message from yourself, Ian. I know sort of Saga customers are particularly loyal, and they you said they're sort of chomping at the bit to come back. Is that a case of when they're ready, you're ready as well for agents?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I guess I can't put it better than Wendy and Nick have already. But I think a genuine thank you from us. I think that I've been with Saga now 2.5 years, and the support from the trade since I've joined has been incredible. And therefore, it's become a significantly more important part of our business. And that was always the ambition for me when I joined. That support hasn't waned through the last few months, through how difficult this has been for everybody. The positive conversations have been incredible, and the fact that travel agents are still, business owners and things like that, still able to have those positive conversations, I think, and still laugh about stuff, and still be positive is incredible, really, when you consider what everyone's facing. So just a thank you, and the fact that I guess look, we're of course here whenever, whether it's support on existing bookings, or when the floodgates open, which I'm sure they're going to, on new bookings, we're there and looking forward to it.
That's great. And Wendy, sort of final word, is it a case of finding the positives from the doom and gloom? Is it a case of just keep on going until things are ready to start again?
Yeah, and I think everybody, once we move away from the negatives, I think we're an industry that's always focused on positives. And the good thing about cruising, probably over and above so many other parts of the industry, is that we, as cruise lines, as well as with our agent partners, do it together. So even when it's not in times like this, we do work together to try and focus on positives and to help our agent partners as an industry to get more people to cruise. And I think that's more prevalent now than ever, with all the elements of Clear working together with all of the industry, to overcome some of the negatives, to now move forward and focus on the positives and have a bit of fun as well. And I think we all need a bit of fun in our lives again. And some of the things that, as I said right at the beginning, that some of the agents have been doing, TikToks and all sorts of things that we can do, that we can all just start smiling again. And like Nick and Ian said, this is what our teams are here to do. Our sales team are still here, and Clear are here to help agents. And if we unite and re-engage the consumers and our trade with positive messaging, then I know that we will return stronger. And who knows, this time next year we'll all be looking back and go, gosh, do you remember that?
That's a fantastic note to end on, and we do sincerely hope that is the case. And of course, let's see how we get on. But thank you so much, Nicola. Thank you very much for joining us in two guises. That was great. It was a landscape on portrait.
Sorry about that. Thanks.
No, thank you for coming, Ian. Thanks very much for being here. Sorry.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
No problem at all. And Wendy, thank you again.
Oh, you're welcome.
Oh, there's the note. I was really worried gone. He'd gone off the side there. And thank you everyone for joining us as well. Stay tuned for more TTG online events later in the week. And thanks again for joining us. Hope you find it beneficial. All the best, everyone. Take care. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Stay safe.